Welcome to Creepy Corner Stories, where the shadows whisper and the unknown lurks just beyond the light. Some stories send chills down your spine, but others, they stay with you long after the video ends. Turn down the lights and listen closely. You never know what might be lurking in the dark. Let's begin. Story: The Haunted Church of Borley. Borley Church, located in Essex, England, has long been known as one of the most haunted churches in the country. Built in the 12th century, the church and its surrounding area have been the site of eerie occurrences for centuries. One of the most famous hauntings is that of a ghostly nun, believed to have been a young woman from a nearby convent who fell in love with a monk. Their forbidden love led to a tragic fate. She was buried alive within the church walls, and he was executed. Ever since, her spirit has been seen wandering the grounds, her sorrowful figure appearing in the dim light of dusk. Witnesses have reported hearing soft weeping inside the empty church, shadowy figures moving between the pews, and even disembodied whispers during prayer. Paranormal investigators have captured strange lights, unexplained cold spots, and even the sound of a ghostly voice calling out names. To this day, Borley Church remains a place where the past refuses to rest, and those who enter may find themselves watched by unseen eyes. Story: The Cursed Church of St. Andrew. In a quiet village in Poland, St. Andrew's Church stood for centuries as a place of worship. But over time, whispers of strange occurrences turned it into a place of fear. Locals spoke of a priest who had gone mad within its walls, claiming to hear voices telling him to commit unspeakable acts. One night, he vanished without a trace, leaving behind only an open Bible and a single candle burning at the altar. Years later, parishioners began witnessing unsettling phenomena: candles extinguishing on their own, organ music playing late at night when no one was inside, and dark figures moving between the pews. One visitor, a skeptic, stayed after hours to prove the rumors false. The next morning, he was found unconscious near the altar, his face frozen in terror. When he awoke, he spoke of seeing the missing priest standing before him, whispering words he couldn't understand. To this day, St. Andrew's remains abandoned, its doors sealed shut. But locals say if you stand outside at midnight, you can still hear the priest's ghostly whispers carried by the wind, warning those who dare to enter. Story: The Weeping Priest of St. Mary's Church. Deep in the countryside of Louisiana, St. Mary's Church stood as a place of faith and solace for over 100 years. But after a tragic event in the early 1900s, the church became known for something far more sinister. Father James, a devoted priest, was said to have discovered a dark secret within the church, something so horrifying that it drove him to madness. One stormy night, he was found hanging from the church bell rope, his eyes wide open, frozen in an expression of terror. From that night on, eerie occurrences plagued the church. Parishioners reported hearing soft weeping echoing through the empty halls, even when no one was inside. The bell would ring at odd hours, despite no wind or human interference. The most terrifying incident occurred when a group of visitors saw a shadowy figure in priest robes standing at the altar, his head tilted unnaturally to the side. When they approached, the figure vanished, but the smell of burning candles lingered in the air. After years of unexplained happenings, the church was abandoned. Today it stands in decay, but those who pass by at night say they can still hear the weeping of Father James, mourning a secret he took to his grave. Story: The Whispering Shadows of St. Augustine Church. In a quiet town in Spain, St. Augustine Church was once a place of peace, until the night the shadows began to whisper. Built in the 1600s, the church had a dark history. Legend spoke of a group of monks who practiced forbidden rituals within its walls, attempting to speak with the dead. One night, the entire monastery was found abandoned, the monks having vanished without a trace. The only thing left behind was a blood-stained altar and the eerie silence that followed. Years later, strange things began happening. Visitors reported hearing soft murmurs in Latin, though no one was there. Some claimed to see dark figures moving between the pews, only to disappear when approached. Priests who stayed overnight spoke of waking up to find deep scratches on the wooden floors, as if something had been dragged across them. The most terrifying event occurred when a choir was rehearsing late one evening. The lights flickered, and a deep guttural voice was heard joining their hymn, though no extra person was in the church. The church remains open, but locals warn against staying after dark. They say if you sit alone in the pews, you'll hear the whispers of the lost monks, and if you listen too closely, you might never leave. Story: The Possessed Pews of St. Michael's Church. In a small town in Italy, St. Michael's Church was known for its grand architecture and serene atmosphere. But beneath its beauty lay a chilling legend, one that kept locals from entering after sunset. Centuries ago, during a midnight mass, an unknown man collapsed in the front pew. Witnesses said he began convulsing, his eyes rolling back as he muttered in an ancient language. The priest rushed to help, but the moment he touched the man, the candles in the church blew out, and a horrifying scream echoed through the halls. When the lights were restored, the man was gone, vanished without a trace. Since that night, eerie things have plagued St. Michael's. Visitors have reported an unshakable feeling of being watched, even when alone. Some claim the pews creak as if unseen figures are shifting in their seats. The most terrifying account came from a priest who was locking up late at night. He heard heavy breathing behind him, but when he turned around, the front pew was filled with shadowy figures, silent, unmoving, staring right at him. The church remains open, but few dare to sit in the front pews. Some say if you do, you'll feel a cold hand rest on your shoulder, and if you turn around, you might see something staring back. Story: The Faceless Nun of St. Catherine's Church. Deep in the countryside of France, St. Catherine's Church has stood for over 300 years, its stone walls holding secrets that many wish to forget. Among them is the tale of the Faceless Nun, a spirit said to haunt the halls after a tragic betrayal. Long ago, a young nun named Sister Madeleine discovered a terrible secret about the church's head priest. Before she could reveal the truth, she mysteriously vanished. Days later, her body was found buried in the church courtyard, her face mutilated beyond recognition. The church claimed it was an accident, but the villagers whispered otherwise. Ever since, strange occurrences have been reported. Late at night, visitors have seen a ghostly figure in a nun's habit gliding between the pews, her veil shifting as if something unnatural hides beneath. Some have heard soft weeping coming from the confessional, only to find it empty. The most terrifying encounters happen near the church's old bell tower, where people claim to see a nun standing motionless in the shadows. Those who get too close say she lifts her veil, revealing a smooth, featureless void where her face should be. To this day, St. Catherine's remains open, but few dare to enter alone. It's said that if you hear soft whispers inside, it's already too late. She has seen you. Story: The Screaming Skull of St. Mark's Church. In a quiet village in England, St. Mark's Church has a terrifying legend that has endured for centuries, the legend of the Screaming Skull. The story dates back to the 1700s, when a grave robber named Thomas Greeley was caught stealing from the church's crypt. The townspeople, furious at his desecration, took justice into their own hands. He was executed near the church, and his body was buried in an unmarked grave. But before he died, Thomas uttered a chilling curse: "You may take my life, but I will never leave this place." Soon after his burial, strange things began happening. The churchgoers reported hearing horrific screams coming from beneath the floorboards. At night, the wailing grew so loud that it echoed through the village, keeping people awake. When the priest attempted to bless the church, the candles flickered violently, and the organ played by itself. Desperate, the villagers dug up Thomas's grave and found his skull, completely clean of flesh, yet his jaw still moving, as if caught mid-scream. Terrified, they locked the skull inside the church crypt, hoping to silence it. But to this day, visitors claim that on stormy nights, if you listen closely near the altar, you can still hear Thomas Greeley's tormented screams, forever trapped in St. Mark's Church. Story: The Shadow Priest of Blackwood Chapel. Hidden deep in the misty woods of Scotland, Blackwood Chapel was once a place of faith, until it became a place of fear. The legend speaks of Father Alistair, a priest known for his obsession with the afterlife. He spent years performing strange rituals in secret, believing he could communicate with lost souls. But one night, something went horribly wrong. During a midnight mass, the church was filled with screams, and the priest was found lying at the altar, his face twisted in terror, his eyes black as coal. After his death, the chapel became cursed. Parishioners would enter for prayer only to find the candles flickering on their own, their flames turning an unnatural blue. Dark figures were seen lurking near the confessional, whispering in a language no one could understand. The most chilling tale comes from a traveler who sought shelter in the chapel one stormy night. As he rested in a pew, he heard slow, deliberate footsteps approaching. When he turned, he saw a tall, shadowy figure in a priest's robe standing by the altar, head bowed, hands clasped in silent prayer. But when lightning illuminated the room, the figure had no face, only empty darkness where features should have been. Blackwood Chapel was abandoned long ago, but locals say the shadow priest still lingers. Those who dare to step inside at night report hearing deep, rasping breaths, and if you stay too long, you might feel cold hands pressing down on your shoulders, forcing you to kneel. Story: The Cursed Choir of St. Benedict's Church. In a quiet town in Germany, St. Benedict's Church was once famous for its angelic choir. The voices of the children who sang there were said to be so beautiful that they could bring tears to anyone who listened. But one fateful night, everything changed. During a late-night rehearsal, a fire broke out in the church. The flames spread quickly, trapping the young choir members inside. By the time help arrived, it was too late. All of them perished, their voices forever silenced. Since then, eerie things have plagued St. Benedict's. Late at night, passers-by claim to hear faint, ghostly singing drifting from the church, even though it has been abandoned for years. Some have seen the pews shake, as if unseen figures are still sitting there. The most terrifying reports come from those who have dared to enter after dark. They describe hearing soft whispers in their ears, followed by a sudden, deafening silence. Then, out of the darkness, a chorus of distorted voices begins to sing, a song no one can recognize, yet somehow feels familiar. Those who stay too long claim to feel an overwhelming sense of sorrow, as if unseen hands are reaching out, begging to be freed. No one knows if the spirits of the choir remain trapped, or if they are searching for someone new to join their eternal song. Story: The Watcher in St. Joseph's Church. In a small village in Ireland, St. Joseph's Church has stood for centuries, its stone walls weathered by time. But the locals fear it, not because of its age, but because of the Watcher who never left. The legend tells of a priest named Father O'Connor who served the church in the early 1900s. He was a quiet man, known for his piercing gaze that seemed to look right through people. One night, during his usual evening prayer, a loud bang was heard from inside the church. When the villagers rushed in, they found Father O'Connor dead at the altar, his eyes wide open in terror, his hands clutching the Bible so tightly that his fingernails had pierced the pages. Since that night, eerie things began happening. Parishioners reported feeling unseen eyes watching them as they prayed. Some even claimed to see a shadowy figure standing near the altar, its head tilted, as if studying them. The most terrifying encounters came from those who visited the church alone. Many spoke of looking up to see a figure sitting in the front pew, staring at them with hollow, sunken eyes. The church was eventually abandoned, but the Watcher remains. Locals say that if you enter St. Joseph's after dark and sit in the last pew, you'll hear a low, raspy breath behind you. But whatever you do, don't turn around. Some places hold secrets that refuse to be forgotten, and some spirits never truly rest. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Creepy Corner Stories. There are many more horrors waiting for you in the darkness. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and whatever you do, don't look behind you.